Hey guys, welcome back to Hear Me Out Pitch. I am Tim,
And I'm Willem.
and hope your guys' week is going well. Your day's going good. Willem, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. We're back on the couches.
Yeah,
Two separate microphones this time, so now we're like a little farther apart. It's kind of weird, but
that's
we're on
kind of
the
weird.
couches. Comfy. Oh, we're gonna have the movie playing in the background again. Haven't done that in a fat minute. Because half the movies I did not want to sit through
You
again.
don't want to sit through Babylon AD again?
No, but we probably no. No. Maybe this will help us keep on track better because sometimes we're like, "Wah!" So, but,
Maybe. I
oh
mean,
man.
the movie that we chose this week, there's a handful of things that we would tweak, and
Yeah,
I think in time too.
yeah, and it wasn't like I didn't hate it. I really didn't. I don't know why it got so much crap. I see why. Maybe because it's
I
just,
think for nostalgia's sake, people were disappointed.
yeah. But I think also, it came out in 2017 and, the Avengers and everything were really taking control. We were
Hmm.
getting ready for Endgame, so anything even close to competing was just shut off. But now, if this would have come out today, I probably would have gone and seen it.
I actually watched it in theaters. Um,
I didn't, and I'm
the
shocked.
it was a couple days or weeks or something after it came out, and my buddy Nate and his family invited me to come watch it with him in the theaters. And I think just because I was thinking about the original ones, the original one go before going into it, I was a little disappointed, but at the same time, it was a decent movie.
It really is decent. It's
It's not bad.
not bad, not bad at all. And
Definitely worth a read or a read. Yes, read it.
it's definitely a rewatch once in a
Yes.
while. It's nothing. I don't think I would ever buy it, maybe, but I definitely think like once in a while, like hey, you know what, I'm feeling this, especially like during like spoopy time, which is ironic that we've doing all these like spoopy type movies after
I know.
Halloween, and I'm like, oh man, we really are. I can't get over it. It's the harvest season. I love monsters and all that stuff. So, and I mean, it. Oh, it does say Dark Universe. Well, it failed. It failed. For those of you, well, I guess,
I
I
guess
mean,
now
it's,
we can reveal the
well,
movie.
you've already read the title of the podcast. We're
That's
doing the
true.
2017 The Mummy with Tom Cruise,
Mhm.
and it, oh,
Yeah, you missed the first bit because you were cooking.
I was cooking. I made Tim and his wife food, and because we usually do food with movie nights, and I really do
Mhm.
enjoy cooking, and
He's a
yeah,
really good cook.
I
He should open his own restaurant.
swap. I should not. That's why I'm doing a podcast. I like my voice better than but I do love food though. I love food.
Mhm.
I wonder though, are they gonna try to do? Oh man, they had like a full on thing with England at the beginning. I guess I really did miss a lot. I was like, what
Yeah,
is
you
happening?
missed quite a bit.
Huh?
Um, I would have so just right off the bat to start this opening scene where they're burying the gemstone with the Templar, I would have moved it to an explanation
Yeah, I really wanted
to be with
to.
an explanation.
I wouldn't have had the epic because they had oh my gosh, can't think of his name. Gladiator. He was that split personality character in this movie. Russell Crowe.
Oh yeah,
You
Russell
know,
Crowe.
Russell Crowe, starts talking about it and he explains the whole situation with the mummy, how she was the daughter of a pharaoh, an heir was born, she gets jealous, makes a deal with Set, becomes evil, kills her dad,
Kills
kills his
her
wife, and
kills her brother,
kills her brother, most likely half
half
brother,
brother.
and yeah, just becomes the mummy. They take her, they kill her chosen, because the chosen is supposed to become the literal body of Set, and yeah, it's and they had all this explanation. Okay,
Hmm.
okay, All right. I really guess I missed all this.
Yeah, you missed the first probably 15 minutes, maybe 20.
Well, I didn't because I guess I didn't realize this part was so important because, it's showing all these coffins and they're discovering all these Egyptian cult. I mean, not Egyptian, English. I don't know, Templarish cult that was underneath England. I guess it's pretty darn cool. And I guess okay, I guess they do show Tom. I mean, not Russell Crowe. Jeez, I just would not have had him explaining about the mummy until later. I would have
No.
just started off, maybe not even with this. Maybe just with Tom Cruise. I don't know if I would have had this been a part of it really.
I think I would have had this bit, but I would have had the burial of the Templar with the stone come later.
Yeah.
Because I think this is a good introduction into what, like, kind of what's gonna happen. It's a
And
good setup, I think.
and they were introducing the dark universe and Russell Crowe's character, spoilers, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And it it just seems so perfect that at the beginning of this, we literally could have had, a man come in with an umbrella and it's Vlad Dracula or just something. Since they are oh man, what's the
I would
name?
have, I honestly would have taken just the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen,
Yeah.
the entire league, the
Invisible Man.
the Invisible Man, the wife of Dracula.
Yeah, like all these things.
I would have had maybe Dorian Gray, because I know in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Dorian Gray ended up a bad guy, and spoilers, he ended up being the bad guy.
I really love that movie. It was like the Avengers movie before the Avengers. It was good. I watched it though less than 5 years ago. I was like, wow, this is I can't believe I've never seen it.
It's honestly, it's one of my favorite movies with
A team?
not a team necessarily, but like supernatural, almost like historical um um creatures and people from stories and stuff, if that makes sense. It's a really good movie. um Not quite in my top 10 like we talked about.
Yeah, but it's still
But
memorable.
it is definitely a good movie
It
to watch
holds
again.
up. It holds up.
holds
It's a
up.
classic.
And I would watch it again too. It's definitely like I would buy it. I would keep watching it.
This is what they were attempting, and they should have just gone with it. I believe League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was Universal. I wonder.
Well, let's consult the all-powerful Google.
The all-powerful Google. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Are those bats? Oh, those are chickens.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Come on. Oof. It's a 5.8. I would give it an 8. I'd give it a solid 8.
Oh, a 17 on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's
it's not perfect, but I enjoyed it well enough. Again, though, this movie was given a low score, and I kind of liked it, but also
that's true.
I enjoy stories. This isn't.
I just know that Sean Connery's in it, and it makes me happy.
Hey, such a wonderful job. What was his character's name again?
Charlemagne.
Charlemagne. That's right. I guess I'm for what I'm assuming, I'm really sure it is Universal. But yeah. But yeah, they just show us at the beginning, they show Aminette. Is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
Aminette getting buried, and I love the actress they got for her. And she was in Star Trek, she was in Kingsman, and sadly I always forget her name. I'm pretty sure she has a very difficult name for me to. I'm always like, ooh. Always
20th Century Fox.
Oh, 20th Century Fox? Wow.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is 20th Century Fox.
So guess who owns it?
Disney.
Disney, stay away from it. I don't want them to do it. Don't touch it.
They won't.
Don't do it.
They won't.
Seriously though, Universal definitely had a better chance with this. And again, I really like I really did just want someone to walk up. Like they didn't even have to like show he was Dracula, but just walk in and he's holding an umbrella. Like it's not, it doesn't even have to be undone, but he's just holding it casually. Like you think it's a cane, and then when he leaves, Jekyll is like, I mean Hyde, sorry. No, no, Jekyll's the good one. Jekyll goes, "Oh, be wary, it's a sunny day, my friend." He's like, "Ah, yes. The very few times in London it actually does have sun." He like pops the umbrella up and you're like, "Oh," you know?
Hmm.
Or when he smiles and he just slightly has fangs, you're like, "Oh, oh." So, that's just all that I wanted. And even like a few other people. We could have even had we could have had I wouldn't have mind seeing Frankenstein from the movie we watched. I honestly I
Maybe.
could have. I don't think that one was Universal, but you know what I mean. I wouldn't have mind a Frankenstein like that walking around with them. Like he's the heavy hit. He's the heavy hitter.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind in our own little podcast universe headcanoning our Adam into this universe. I would see it.
I would.
I could see
I
it.
could
I
see
could
it.
see it so much. Like just something like that. Just mention it. Like we just see him. They don't have to like even show who they are yet. But we're just getting hints like this is different. Because when they show up, Dark Universe, just Dark Universe, it's like, okay, what does that mean? And they were trying so hard to set it up, and I just, I wish it wouldn't have died.
But like you said earlier, I think just the emergence of Endgame, you know, kind of killed it.
And it's funny though, because this movie didn't technically flop. It just no one gave it a
Mhm.
chance. And I would nowadays, I would rather see this than I don't know. Funny enough though, the trailer for Madam Web dropped today, and
Oh, did it?
it did. And Sony has so much potential for movies, and it has so many like because since they own Spider-Man, they own all his rogues gallery, all of his allies, and this movie looks pretty good. It looks decent, and honestly, and this might sound awful, but I think it's gonna. I think it looks 100 times better than the Marvels. I am far more interested in that,
I'm not even interested in the Marvels, period.
and
I'm ready, honestly, and I've said it before. I'm ready for Marvel to just stop
I know.
and start moving on to something that's not superheroes.
Yep,
At least for a time.
for a time.
Like, yeah, the
We're only getting
superheroes.
one Marvel movie next year.
Hmm?
We're only getting one
Are we?
MCU Marvel movie next year.
Which one?
Deadpool 3.
Oh, of course.
So, it
Until they pull a Nintendo and they're like, "Hey, we're dropping this in a few months."
maybe.
I
Jeez.
I don't think they would.
I don't think they would either.
Marvel loves building up their
They sure do.
popularity.
Hopefully this next I hope 2024 is a reconstructive year and they figure out some things. And honestly, I wouldn't mind Sony. Ooh. Anyway, that was a random
Hmm.
sidetrack. Like I said, this movie I didn't mind it. I just there's a few cuz even here with Tom Cruise's character and his buddy, but actually no, I would not. I really would have wanted him and Jenny's relationship to be
More fleshed out.
more fleshed out, especially in the beginning, because she just comes in and the first thing you get is her just punching him, and she's just like, "Yeah, you're
Which is
gonna
hilarious. Like
ruin my life's
watching,
work," and it's like, okay,
I will say, watching Tom Cruise get punched is really entertaining. And it's not that he's a bad actor. I love him as an actor. He's a good actor. I just every time he gets hit, every time something happens, I think it's hilarious. And it might just be me.
it might just be you. It might just be you.
IMDb gave it a 5.1 out of 10, which I think is a little harsh. I honestly think that it did better than that.
I think it very much did better than that.
I personally, I would give this movie a 7.
I
Solid 7.
a solid 7, a safe 7.
It's
It passes. It's a
it
pass.
passes.
I give it a passing grade.
I feel like any movie that could be a 7 or above is a movie worth watching again.
Yep. And I know you're all probably thinking, then why are you two doing this movie? I had never seen it.
Mm-mm.
And Tim had told me about it. He hasn't seen it for a while.
It's been
It sounds like you
I
weren't that interested when you first saw it.
I really wasn't.
And probably because everyone was just obsessed with Marvel movies back in 2017. The only thing we were going to is Marvel, and now we're paying the price for getting all excited about Marvel. No, oh, here she is. Boom. Mr. Morton. Mr. Morton just got punched.
At the same time, I do like just the all of the sudden he gets hit.
It was a great intro.
It is funny.
It was great.
But I think building on it, like I don't need to see them in the motel. I don't need to see that because I've seen it a million times in other movies with Tom Cruise. I don't care.
Do they show them in the motel?
No, but in
I would have wanted them to be a
movies,
full on. Oh, I see what you mean.
In a few of his movies, there's
like a James Bond scene.
Exactly.
Getting the lady.
Yep.
Okay,
exactly.
I got you. I meant like I would have wanted them to be a full on relationship. Like the whole time they're talking, he could be mentioning Jenny. Like, are you sure you should be doing this? She seemed like a good fit for you. Like it was the longest one you've ever been doing. Is like we talking about like you've been going on for this for over 6 months, like something like that. Or even we see him like waking up, kissing her on the cheek, leaving a note, or like waking up, getting on, and then going, and then his buddy's waiting for him outside of the, where like insert place they were living together or studying together, whatever, as she's researching. And the thing is, that would have been really cool when she introduces that she's part of, I had the notes because I wanted to say the name right. The secret organization.
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No, that's not the. You could call it that.
I mean, that's kind of what it is.
It's 2023. It's League of Extraordinary People.
Yeah.
Extraordinary persons. I would just call it League of Extraordinaries, and it would just wham. I don't know. I kind of like it, the League of Extraordinaries, but no. Prodigium? Am I saying that right?
I don't remember.
Oh.
Sorry, I don't remember what the organization's actually called.
Well, when we get to it, we'll turn the volume on so we do that. But the organization, it would have been cool that the whole time he's like keeping this secret that he's I don't know, I'm just gonna call him a Tomb Raider. Nathan Drake, Lara Croft type character. That's what he is. He is.
He is.
He's a Tomb Raider.
I honestly, if this was a video game, I would play
it. You know what? There were a few scenes I told you. I'm like, this is very video gamey, and I like it.
Yeah,
the scene where
running from the sandstorm.
The sandstorm was fantastic. I could see that. It would have been cooler in a car. I imagined it in a tiny car.
I watched that scene right while we were watching that last night, and I got in Lego Harry Potter. There's the one level in the second year where you're running from the spiders.
Oh.
And that's the vibe that gave me. I don't know.
And the humor might be kind of lost. I know that they had Jake Johnson. He played Vale. Is it Val or Vale? He plays the washed up Spider-Man in the animated Spider-Man movies, the current one. Absolutely loved him. I don't mind his humor. I really don't. I actually really enjoy it. But there's something about him and Tom Cruise that they didn't really mix very well for me.
No. It was a little weird.
Or at least they should have built more of a connection for it. I do like that he was with him, and I wish he would have been there more. I kind of wish that so kind of backtrack, I'm kind of like getting ahead of myself, because Tom Cruise and Jake Johnson's characters, Tomb Raiders, they're set to find certain treasure. They blow up a place up in the Mesopotamia area, and it turns out to be this Egyptian tomb. And Jenny, what's her last name? Jenny Halsey. Jenny, don't start that now. We'll do it later. We'll do it later. We'll do it later. I promise. There's plenty more Jenny jokes. This is a Forrest Gump loving podcast, and you all can eat it. But yes, I do also hate Jenny. I love and hate Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the point.
Yep.
That's the point. But they find the tomb of Amenet, and interestingly, I really like the Mercury thing. That
I do too. Well, and here's the thing: in more cultures than just Egyptian, Mercury was seen as almost like a divine metal because it was a liquid and a metal. Right, it was a liquid metal at room temperature.
Don't put your hands in it too long; you'll go insane.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, the Mad Hat is insane because of the mercury for the hats.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's my clown voice, and that probably isn't work for me. That works for Mad Hatter. He's a clown, basically.
It kind of works.
Mustard. Yeah. No.
Eh.
More like King Candy, wasn't it?
More like King Candy.
Well, the thing is, in the Disney 100-year special, they had him voice Mad Hatter briefly.
It's true.
So,
they did.
And it was just King Candy's voice. So, it worked.
It does.
Whatever, Tim.
You keep telling yourself that.
Oh, I will. All night long. So I really did like, and maybe everyone was upset because everyone's thinking of the Brendan Fraser mummy, and they were upset with how they were like, oh, it's lame that she's not as strong as him because of the mercury. I'm like, I liked that. And there was the part where they do capture her, that Prodigium captures her. They use a bunch of harpoons, but I'm like, well, if they keep shooting her and pin her down and suspend her in the air and she can't really move, it kind of works in her defense because she hasn't really absorbed enough human essence, because she does the same thing as Imhotep does. Literally grabs them and sucks up all the juices, and it was cool because she makes an undead army doing that. I like that a lot more than Imhotep, and it was just very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but the mercury, man. Mercury freaks me out. Oh.
It's a fun metal to boil.
Tim, what have you been doing?
I'm
not going back.
Chemistry.
Chemistry
class.
It's a boy! Okay, her coffin is so well done. And I feel like I'm going to laugh because everyone here is like, oh my gosh, they're just loving on this movie. It's not perfect. I just don't understand why it got so much hate, but there's definitely a lot of things I would have changed story-wise, just would have moved some things around.
Mm-hmm. I really don't know if there was much I would change aside from just the chronology of
the chronology is really there's a few scenes that I'm definitely like, no, it's just some of the few words they said and the chemistry I definitely would have done differently. Because I like how I wish he died a lot more. Because as he's the chosen, he can't die unless he kills her.
Mm-hmm.
I
would have liked that. Like they fall out of the plane and he survives.
You know when and then they fall out of the ambulance and it's like rolling toward him. I would mind if he put his hands up and it just crushes him, and then he wakes up and he's like, not again, and he wakes up in Prodigium.
Yeah. That would have been kind of cool.
Like he lived, I know everyone's like, oh, but that's just like the Live Die Repeat movie. It's like, well,
I mean, he is in.
Yeah, but the thing is, and same with stupid Oblivion, it kind of falls along that. They're very similar. Tom Cruise just does those type of roles, and if you think it's cheesy, fine.
That's the kind of actor he is, though.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
Mission Impossible.
A lot of other movies, a lot of other actors basically play the same character in every movie.
Because you're not telling me that this is the guy from Mission Impossible, because it looks just. And the thing, well, I can't say though because I haven't seen any of them.
I haven't either.
Okay, then
I just know the theme song.
No. I do love how he keeps having visions of Amenet all beautiful and like visiting him. And I wish that my one thing is I do wish that at the end of the movie she was whole.
I agree. I agree. I would have liked for her to be back to her pre-mummification self.
Just she is completely perfect.
Hmm.
And because the thing is, like, I feel like somewhat bad for her, but again, she sold her soul to Set, killed her father, so I don't feel bad. But the part where the crows, oh, that
Hmm.
part was very freaky.
We'll talk about that.
We will,
It's
we
coming
will.
up.
It's coming up. So as they're pulling Aminet's tomb out of the ground, so many crows are just gathering around, and it's just funny because I'm like, in my head, I always think when I see crows, I'm like Odin, but
Hmm.
I have to remember that there is lore in almost every culture when it comes to ravens and crows. So Lenore. Sorry, I love Edgar Allan Poe, and I love how they're just suspending it in the air, and it's just like do 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 do, and she's just inside like la 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 la.
Hmm. Well, and the funny thing is, when they're loading it up into the plane, Jenny's all, "Be careful with that," but they're literally flying it, and it.
And it's like that thing could snap, and
Yep.
they're gonna. And I get it. It's basically being life flighted, so it works. That should work, but it's just funny. And I guess it does make sense now that she caused the plane to crash because right now
Hmm.
they're loading onto a big carrier jet. They're all gonna go inside, and I didn't mind the carrier jet scene, but
Neither did I.
but I wish that I kind of wish Val was the one to cause the plane to crash than just the. No, I like the
No,
crows
the crows. I like the crows.
again,
I
guys,
like the idea that Vale is under the control of
because of the camel spider
uh
biting him.
under the control of Aminet, and that he's trying to cut the thing free, and then stabs their commanding officer, and then gets shot 3 times.
Yeah, and I love that. And I wish that's the being shot one more time. I get it. And then they kind of emphasized it. I don't know, just his kind of comedy, it kind of ruined the vibe sometimes. I wish you uh and this is that scenes like that. So right now Jenny's kind of reaching up and they get like a little cheeky view of her stomach and Tom Cruise is kind of looking at it and he's all trying to hit on her again. And that's why I wish that it would have been that they were in a bigger relationship. Like it really did. It was kind of starting to form something,
Hmm.
and he played her, but she had secrets from him. So when it's revealed that she's part of the secret organization, it's a bigger shock. Like, you kept things from me, and she looks at him. He's like, I can't believe you hid this from me from 6 months. She's like, oh, the man who is going to steal all my work is shocked that I hid a secret from him. Oh, boo hoo. Like, that would have been
Hmm.
funny. It would have felt more real because for me it's like we don't know how long they've been together. So in my head, they literally is like this is a one night stand that blossoms in the span of what would you say, like a week into something,
Something.
and it's like no, and that's coming from a guy who's from Utah. No.
that's that's a really good point, actually.
I and I don't condone it. I'm not the biggest fan, but yes, do I know people who get married in less than a year of dating people? Yeah.
I'm not gonna name names, but my buddy got engaged after a week of dating.
I think we've mentioned this before. We
Yep,
definitely have.
probably.
Yeah. Gotta love that. So would you say Vale died right
Yes,
there?
I would say he died.
So
I would
guys,
say I would say
or he's at least completely under her control. No, because he
he's dead.
shoots him and he keeps going.
He's dead.
Because Vale,
Well,
because
you can keep moving if you get shot.
that's true. That is very true.
But no, I do think that
There,
they'll
it's not Vale at that point.
no.
He gone. He dead. So that's why it kind of bugs me that. Um, so why is he chosen because he's Tom Cruise's character is solely chosen because he is the one that basically set her free.
Yeah.
He's the one that shot
He
the
he's
chain.
he's the one that shot the chain. He's the one that set her free.
Okay.
And I think that's what they were trying to go for.
See, I would have mind if he like walked up. I would have probably had that he like walks up to the sarcophagus and like touches it and it pricks him or something and he's like, "Ha." Or he like feels the connection
Hmm.
and the voice of her comes in his head and says chosen in Egyptian, just chosen, and just you're like, whoo.
Something like that.
And this is nuts that Vale's just like trying to like cut the seal of the tomb and just stabs the
Stabs the commanding officer.
Yeah, it was nuts. And I get it. It's your best friend. You don't know what's going on with him. He stabbed a guy, but yet you're going to defend him. And he just comes in and starts swinging, starts stabbing. But what bugs me is if he's chosen, why is he trying to. Oh, he was trying to stab Jenny. And he is pretty resistant. See, I think for me, I would have made it they were still kind of sentient and still talking. Because now or I kind of want him to kill like maybe one more person. Like maybe like an evil, maybe there's an opposing cult and
Hmm.
every person. No, that's just too much. Because, like I mentioned to you, Werewolf in London, he kills a person, and as when you kill someone as a werewolf, their ghost follows you around. Like the character goes to a movie theater at one time, and like there's 5 people that he's killed just watching the movie right next to him, and they're all bloody and whatever, just like Val is, and it's just nostalgic. Oh, but the crows breaking through and causing the plane to crash in London so that she can get that. And now that makes sense.
Hmm.
And I think you're right. The opening should still be the Templars, but I would just have the stone get buried and
I
then it
I would
cuts.
I would wait for the stone.
Wait for the
I would
stone.
wait for the stone until later when Jenny's explaining about the dagger. That's what I would do. To be
True.
fair, I'm not the one that wrote the movie, so
You're not the one that what?
I'm not the one that wrote the movie,
That's
so
true.
I can't.
Someday. Just kidding.
Someday.
That would be cool. That would be really. Oh no! What I press? Am I sit? Oh, I'm
I,
sitting on the remote. That's why.
I do have plans for a couple movies, and we need and one of them is Star Wars that I'm working on it. I'm working on it,
Ah,
guys.
that's right, Tim. We are.
It's coming up
We're coming up.
eventually. You'll get it.
You'll get it. You'll get it. You're at least getting Tim's before the end of the year. I don't know when.
Maybe we'll see about that.
Oh.
I'm not sure if I'm quite that ready yet.
Ah, okay.
I do have a little bit more time on my hands now, though. So
That's
maybe.
true.
We'll see.
But I do like how he saves Jenny. There is
Mhm.
again. That's why I wish that I'm going to emphasize it again because it just would feel so much better in my head. They dated 6 months because they never say anything.
Yeah.
So in my head, it's been 6 months. Whatever. I do like that he dies in the car crash, and they have to have Jenny
Jenny.
identify the body.
Sorry.
He wakes up in a body bag. I
Mhm.
thought that was very well done. I thought it was very cool.
I agree.
I honestly though, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I would have Vale connected to him.
I would keep it. I would keep it. I think it's fun. The reason for it is Aminette is basically trying to get Tom Cruise, his character, to do what to go to Aminette. So Vale is that how that happens.
Because it sounds like he's been touched by Set in a way
Mhm.
that he's in a state of limbo.
Basically.
Because he always mentions how he gets to, um, when he does this, he'll be done. And at the end of the movie, spoilers, he's brought back to life and thanks Tom Cruise's character for bringing him back to life. And so my question is, so I'm assuming that he remembers everything that happened because his attitude,
Probably. He probably remembers.
which would be nuts,
Would be
being
nuts.
dragged around in a state of limbo. Was he swimming with him at that one part? Because I wish he would have been swimming in.
I
I don't
don't
think
think
he
he
was, but it would
was.
have been hilarious. Just him like pointing, like I wish they would have shown him more. Just kind of like point. You know the part in Man of Steel where funny enough, Russell Crowe's character is showing, um, oh my gosh, who is Lois Lane where to go on the ship? That's
Yes.
kind of what I was imagining him. Like he literally is just a constant guide.
I like that.
And I do like the idea that the mummy is getting more life, is stealing life, gaining like a little army. There's no like curse of her, of the people who have opened her tomb, that they're just going to become cursed by. She's just literally like, I am going to devour people, take their
Mhm.
life, make it my own. And at this point, I think I would have rather have had Prodigium like be the ones to. I would have had them enter the movie about now. I would have had them become a bigger deal. I think this
Yeah.
part and the whole Prodigium headquarters for me was pretty. It was probably the most iffy part.
It was just a little slow, I think.
Yeah. So I think it would be cool if, because she has all these zombies and all these people. So when she had the mercury put back in her, so really quick, Amatet wakes up from her tomb. They've crash landed. She's the cause of it because she wants to get close to the, what is it, diamond? What would you call that? Jewel?
No, she wants the dagger.
The dagger. Oh. Where's the dagger
It's
at?
it's in church. It's in the statue.
Ah. But what about the jewel?
The jewel is buried with the one Templar.
Okay, so those are both at the church?
No, the Templar was buried within London somewhere.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Somewhere else.
and the dagger was buried with her. Okay.
Yes.
Who has the dagger now?
Nobody.
Nobody
It's in
has it.
that it's in the church. At right now, at this moment, the dagger is in the church.
Why is it in the church?
I don't know.
But I
It's
thought you
in
said
the
the dagger was
in
in
the
the
statue
at the church.
at the church.
And the Templar's also buried at the church. Or he's
No,
buried underground in London.
the Templar is buried underground in London.
Okay. Everyone, I am not a smart man.
Willem is struggling a little
And
bit.
again, I was making food, and
That's true. You were here by this point.
I
You were
was
done by this point.
actually. I think I was there when they were fighting in the church building. So, and that's my fault. I was kind of like, I just want to watch the movie, and everyone's probably yelling at me like, "You're the one who has to see it. You should have watched it." I really was. I just would look up and down real fast, so my bad. And I just love how they showed her limbs getting muscle mass. I love all that. And I will say at the end of the movie, when she becomes a mummy again, I wish she wouldn't have been completely frozen up as a mummy. I wish she would have kind of been like sniveling, crying. Like Voldemort's
Uh huh.
Horcrux that's in
I
Harry in the train
I
station.
I do like that she was completely mummified by the end of it because he used his powers to kill her,
That's true.
to end the curse and kill her. She served no function at that point.
That's true. But
She'd
they
done her
still but they
job.
still buried her in
They did.
Mercury
They
and
did.
all that stuff at the end of the movie. Oh, I just love how eroded she is.
Mhm.
And she's slowly, slowly gaining herself back.
I kind of
Love
feel
it.
bad because I forgot to tell my wife that it was gonna be like a super like gross zombie movie. She doesn't do well with zombies and gore and stuff.
Oh,
and I forgot to tell her, so I kind of feel bad about that.
Oh no.
But at the same time, she's doing okay. But
Oh yeah, at this part I would have this is probably when I would have had Prodigium approach. She's talking about, I have something to tell you because this is beyond strange. I called in friends of mine, and boom, we have, you know, we have a man come in with sunglasses on in the middle of the night. You're like, what the heck? And then you have Dr. Jekyll come in. Actually, I think it was a good idea that Dr. Jekyll can't really walk around a lot because, if he's out too long, you have Hyde. And I don't know how I felt about, because in this movie, um, Jekyll explained, and I am curious though, are they trying to say how he's super old? Because I would have just basically said, if he says, "Oh, I'm Henry Jekyll," and I wish that Tom Cruise character would have gone, "The Henry Jekyll," yes, like the story, yes. How are you still alive? Well, and you know the story, like just. I kind of wish that would have been a thing, because we know all these stories. These are stories, so they're saying that monsters exist. We exist. We know these stories. It's kind of like when they don't call them zombies in zombie films. They're like, oh,
they're the walkers.
They're the walkers, or they're the infected, and it's like, can we just say zombie? Like, is that coined? Can we not? Or is it just sound too like, dude, it's a zombie apocalypse. The zombies are coming. It's like, can we just? We have all these movies anyway.
It's the undead apocalypse.
It's the undead apocalypse.
It's the zombie. Walker apocalypse.
It's the walker. It's just a bunch of old people with their walkers.
Yes.
Oh, but yeah, I would have really been emphasizing on this. Like, she could have been talking about it. Since he saved her, it would have been cool that not cool, but that right there, I understand is a connecting factor of this. But for them to have been in a longer relationship, and yes, I'm going to keep coming back to this, because it's so hard for me that he's risking everything for Jenny. And like right now, she's calling Dr. Jekyll, which it would have just been better for her to just have them come in, because it sounds like Prodigium isn't too far from London. Dr. Jekyll is from London. The headquarters could have been in London. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's like ironic. Like, everything happens in America. Well, in this movie, everything happens in London. Europe is the headquarters of the spooky ookie. It's super old. There's all of these monsters come from Europe. Frankenstein, Europe. Dracula, Europe. All of them come from Europe. Wait, Dracula might be from somewhere else.
No, I believe it is Europe.
Yeah, I believe that is Europe. Yeah. Like, Europe is the headquarters of all this. So if it happens in London, it's just perfect. So why can't they call in, they heard about the plane crash, they heard he's dying, and it would have been funny if, like, the morticianer, it was Dr. Jekyll. Like, all these things could have been done that it's like, just have it hear more. It's fine. I didn't realize he walked into the woman's bathroom. That's funny. I guess I'm really dumb. Oh, there's a tampon dispenser. Of course it's a woman's bathroom. And I do love that he's talking to him through a mirror, and then he walks to the other side of the mirror, like, to confront him, and he's then on the other side. I liked that. It was very well done. I would have kept doing that. But again, a part of me is kind of like, I don't know if I ever would have had him talk. And is this part supposed to be a vision?
No, yes, it is. This is him kind of freaking out and trying to figure out what's going on.
Because then all the rats come. So there's parts of me that confuse it, because rats come and take him, and she's right there, and then there's a car, and I'm like, what had happened? What's happening? Or am I getting my parts of movie?
No, this might be the vision, actually. This might be a vision. I think you're right.
Yeah, because he's like having visions. Sorry about that, everyone. We're back. Technical difficulties.
As per the usual.
So what would you have so what do you like about the curse, and what would you have changed?
I honestly, there's not much I would actually physically change. I said it before. I would make their relationship feel a little more concrete. And I would change the chronology of some events. Like I said, the biggest one I think is I would take the entombing of the Templar with the stone until later when when Jenny's explaining about the dagger.
Yeah, because this part could be, he's having these visions, so it would have been cool if. So that's why I'm kind of like, I don't think he should have had Vale being that, because if he's already having that vision and Vale, why? I don't know. I just find that the visions and Vale, I feel like that vision wasn't needed. But I feel
I
like
get you.
when he's trying to talk, when, I imagine, so let's pretend just Dracula and Jekyll are trying to talk to him and get his attention. Vale is just kind of in the back at the bar, like come here. And Dr. Jekyll's like, Mr. Morton, we're trying to be reasonable here. We are part of a. Nah, yeah, I get. I'm going through a lot right now. I don't think you understand. And so they're like trying to do the intro, like the whole cliche of like, we're trying to explain. You're distracted with something. He leaves, has the vision. That's when he's like, we need your help trying to find Amatet, or did I say her name right?
Ominous.
Amanet. We need your help trying to find Amanet. We know she did not crash. We believe she's the reason the plane crashed. She's like, oh yeah, it was. And we know that she's here looking for something. And that's when she's like, the tomb's found underneath London. Yes, there's something big, and all of a sudden, like maybe that's when he zones out, has the vision of her, and he's like, "Well, I know where she is." And they go there, and they can have the big fight. They get the dagger, and I even imagine that we see Dr. Jekyll be scared of the zombies, and maybe even something though when he gets kind of cornered by a few, like a sneer comes across his face, and he kills a few, and then we see Vlad like stab him in the back with something. He's like, "Oh, thank you." Like just something like that,
Uh-huh.
like the darkness that he's talking about. And we see that Dracula isn't even minding it. It doesn't matter. It would have been really cool to have all this happen. There's a big fight scene. Maybe like the church crumbles, or they crumble. They fight off the zombie, or maybe he gets freaked out and he's like, "I'm just a tomb rat. I'm not cut for this," and tries to speed off in the ambulance, getting chased. They're trying to like reason with him that he is the key to figuring all this out. He's the key to beating her, whatever. And yeah, he gets squished by the ambulance. I feel like that would have been cool. And then he wakes up again. He's like, not again. Just stuff like that. They're like, he's like, like, what's the last thing you remember, Mr. Morton? An ambulance falling on my face. Yeah. And strange enough, you lived through it. Well, what do you mean? Like, no, you were a pancake when he brought you in. And they like show it, like they lift up a picture. We don't see it, but he's like, oh,
Oh, that's me?
that's me. Yeah. And then it's like, and then this is you 2 hours later. This is you no less than 30 minutes later. And it shows him just dead, just perfectly normal. And he's like, oh, are you saying I can't die? No. Why? Because you're cursed. You keep saying that. And then that's when he's like, and where am I? And then Dr. Jekyll does the whole, welcome, my friend, to Prodigium. The Prodigium de
Welcome
Monstre.
to Jurassic
Welcome
Park.
to freaking goblins in the corner.
I love that you and I had the same thought.
Oh, it just would have
No,
worked.
I do like I like how things were. I know you like the idea of having like Dracula and all of that,
But
but
you're just a no.
I keeping it to this and what we've got, I like it a little bit better.
Okay.
And I'm thinking maybe before this movie we have another one that sets up Prodigium. And it can be called Prodigium. And it can be Jekyll and Hyde's thing. Be their movie. And it could set it up. And then this one comes in, and then we have I Frankenstein
Ah.
and others. You know what I mean? I don't know, because I just I like the way that this movie ended up.
And my only argument is that we all know these characters. It's like League of
Yeah.
Extraordinary Gentlemen. We don't really need an explanation. Just like with most of like Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. We
Hmm.
really don't need to know.
I don't need the
I don't need to see Uncle Ben die.
yeah.
I don't need to see Martha and Thomas die.
Martha.
Martha, why'd you say that name? Anyway, I don't know. I get what you're saying,
Hmm.
but also they wanted a dark universe. They had Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde right off the bat. I definitely would have just been like just Dracula for now. At least those two spearheading it.
Fair enough.
And then but then at the end of the movie, they could show like, well, we need our friends to come and gather so we can, you know, find Mr. Morton later or whatever. But again, I don't know how much I like the ending though, because I think I would have
Mhm.
rather had him be just a part of it. He's just the living mummy,
Maybe.
basically.
I don't know. I like the ending because it ends, spoiler alert, go watch the freaking movie if you haven't already, by the
Oh,
way. um Spoiler alert, he ends up stabbing himself to take on the powers of death. And so
so that
when
he can
so
save
that he can
Jenny.
save Jenny.
Jenny.
it just it just happens naturally.
It
You
just
can't
happens.
stop it.
You hear the name Jenny, and you just
Jenny.
Jenny,
um
Jenny. Anyway, sorry.
but it ends up with Jenny's dead, and Tom Cruise and the mummy are fighting, and he is about to destroy the gemstone. Um, and then she stops him and basically says, "If you break the gemstone, there's no chance to save her." And he's like, "Well, poop nuggets.
I don't think she even mentions saving her. She just
It
says
it
you
will be
won't.
too late,
It'll be too late.
or something along those
I
lines."
think she basically. I think I don't know. We'll have to go see. But I in my head, she just said you will just. She was basically just saying you won't have the power of life over death. You're not going to be set. Like
Mhm.
she's in her head. She is so convinced that why would anyone refuse this power? And again, I
Yeah.
would have had her be completely perfect. She looks flawless.
Hmm.
Like I would have had her look completely normal by the time that they captured her in the um or even actually they could have captured her, before the ambulance falls on her. I would have maybe he doesn't run away from her. Maybe he runs away after they capture her. Like she's sitting there with all the harpoons in her. And again, and I know you're like in my head, my version, Willem's version, you know, Jekyll and Dracula are kind of sitting there staring like, we need you to come with us, Mr. Morton. He's like, oh, and then he like,
No.
yeah, and just tries to speed off in one of their cars. And he keeps having visions of like Nick of Vale. Maybe that could be the point where Vale comes back, or maybe that's the first time he sees Vale. No, but Vale keeps bugging him, and like he sees Vale in the middle of the road appear, and he's like going the wrong way. And I do love that when Vale talks to Tom Cruise's character, it doesn't sound like an actor talking. It sounds like a voiceover.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be right in his mind, and I would just imagine that he's just trying to get away from this responsibility. Vale appears in the middle of the road and says, "You're going the wrong way," and he, instinctively like, "Oh shoot!" and like turns, dun 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 and just gets flung out of the car, or whatever, or just fatal crash.
I love this part.
I do love that punch. She's like, get him, and he goes with a
Get him.
big stick and
Get him.
get him, and just gets
Uh,
whacked into the air. And see, like that part could have stayed. Like they get cornered by her, and she's like, go get him, and he gets punched in the air. And since she's getting more human, I understand that that's how they got her, with tranquilizer and harpoons going through her, suspending her in the air, and just keep shooting tranks into her. I think that's very reasonable. And there's like over 50 men holding her down. She can't really cast a spell. I imagine they could like clamp a thing over her mouth, like Loki style.
Mm-hmm.
Just clamp something above her mouth, and she can't talk. She can't do a spell. Can't do anything. Because I feel like them just knocking him out, it works. But just the idea that he gets squished by a car trying to run away or gets to a crash, he just wakes up again in a body bag and he's like, dang it! So I think that would have been cool. Because then we could have avoided this part. He's like, where are you taking me? What's happening? It's like, ugh.
The one guard on the right kind of looks like Mark Zuckerberg.
It's Mocky Mock. It's Mocky Mock. Because there's so much stuff here. So much stuff. You have a giant quid. He goes into the base of Prodigium. He's going through all these things. We see, like, that's probably supposed to be the thing from the Black Lagoon. There's so many things. And then you have a vampire skull. And I'm like, all right, vampires exist. Cool. Again.
Trolls exist.
Trolls exist. And they always steal your sock.
But only
always the left one.
What's with that?
What's with that? It just makes more sense to me of Dracula working with us. I know people are like, well, Dracula. It's like, no. You understand. That man is a physician, and yes, he drinks blood, but he's a man of science. And for him and Hyde to be spearheading him and Jekyll to be like kind of in charge of this, I really like it. Because Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, they're the original Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
So Bruce Banner and, one of the smartest, I don't know if anyone here has watched Dracula on Netflix. That is one of my favorite takes of Dracula ever. He's a man of science and just a powerful being. Not magic, just science. A little bit of magic. But it just works.
It's a decent amount of magic.
It's a decent amount of magic.
It's a decent amount of magic.
Have you seen any clips of it?
Uh-huh.
10 out of 10 recommend to a friend. I love it. If you love Vox Machina, definitely should watch it. Like all this hint right here of him like, I'm a doctor. And he's like, and it just gives up the hint. Like, does he know who Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is? Does he know all this? And that's one thing I would have changed because I never got to explaining that. In this version, Dr. Jekyll is always wearing a glove on his left hand and he just puts it into himself and he's just had so much scar tissue over time. And that just begs the question, how old is he? Has he been living a lot longer? Is he over 200 years old because of this serum, because he's trying to fight the evil? I wouldn't mind Dr. Jekyll being that old. I could see it happening. I can wrap my head around it. It's fine with me.
Yeah.
But how ironic would it be for, when he had this cure and he was working with it, he went to look for someone who also fights something, who also got with a disease, who also has some evil fighting him. It would be really cool for Dr. Jekyll to go to Vlad Dracula and they work together to try to fight, and they later realize that they can't overcome, they believe they will never overcome the evil in them, but they want to work together. So that's what I think would be really cool. Since they're trying so hard to fight evil, it's just ironic that these two beings have it in themselves. So maybe I guess the glove works. I wouldn't mind him like.
I think the glove works.
You think the glove works? It's just like too much Michael Jackson-y for me. Just one hand always covered with a glove. I'm like,
I get that.
Like he starts turning into Edward Hyde, and he's like, Shimon! And you're like, oh no.
I guess I can't argue with that.
But I love how they had her imprisoned.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cold mercury.
Well, they inject her with mercury. It is prodigium. Yeah.
Monstrum Veil Prodigium, a warning of monsters. So I think it would be cool for Dracula to be right with them. I imagine these two are both explaining it, and this is where they explain who she is, what she is. That's the part. And they're like, so what is she? And like, this is the daughter. This is the lost daughter of Egypt. Oh, Aminet. Aminet?
Ominette.
Aminet, thank you. I'm not very good with names. That's why we have Tim.
I to give you guys a little bit of an insight into my names. Um, if you've ever read Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive, I can keep all those people straight.
I can't.
I know who is who.
I don't. We've talked about, I think we've mentioned this many times. I'm not good with names. I know who the characters are. And it's funny because I'm more of a faces guy. But when it's characters, I'm like, I don't know faces. You have to tell me what they do, what their personality is. So,
but yeah,
here's the thing though. Would you have had them want to kill him? Because Prodigium says that they have to kill him. Like, do you think that that would have been their goal? They kill him and then they kill the evil?
I think...
Or just... Because in my head, it's
I think they would give him a few options. And be like, your track record, there's not much that you have to live for. We could kill you. We could, let this happen and then kill you, thus killing the final evil. Or we hang on to you and see what happens and maybe try to train you to use your powers.
I think that could have been
kind of an options.
I think that they should have been like, they just say, here's what I think. You're like, option 1, we destroy the stone, bury her in Mercury, dissect her, everyone goes away fine. Option 2, probably the one you won't like, is we get the dagger, stab you with it, and kill you with the ultimate evil inside of you, and you and Miss Aminet are both destroyed. And I imagine that's exactly how they would have been talking to him. And he's just like, oh, and then at the end, and then, maybe like that's the two options. They're kind of freaking out. And I imagine that's when they have, he gets confronted by Aminet right now. She's talking to him. He's seeing her in her beauty, saying how they can rule the world together, have the power of death, all that. What?
I just watched Star Wars earlier. Episode 3. Right? And we could rule together as we could rule together as father and son. We could rule together. We could rule the galaxy together and make it perfect in our image.
Power over death.
Do it. Talking to Padme.
But I do like that he's having this vision, and she's just. And I wish that they wouldn't have been in the vision, because he like looks over and sees. I wish he would have just heard Jenny, and it shows them in the real world,
Jenny.
And not them, awkwardly watching him make out with Beauty in the little magic chamber for a second. I found that very weird. I'm like, that's weird.
It is a little weird, but at the same time,
I get it. It's painting an image.
Yeah. The image they're
It's his
painting
vision.
is I think it's a powerful image.
She did a good job making me feel bad for her though, because she's like, it burns. What? It burns, and just starts screaming. I was like, okay, that was well done. And at this part, I would have had them drinking. I would have had him drinking like yes. This would have been the part where they're sitting there and he's like drinking. He's like, so you're telling me that we find this stone, destroy it, get rid of her, then that's be easy. That's the easiest thing to do. And I feel like though, what would be the hiccup with just destroying the stone? Risk her getting out and just causing chaos?
Maybe there could be, so in some stories when you when a curse isn't broken but it is barred from success or
mediated,
in
I don't know words.
I guess in a term that you might understand because it happened to your D&D character when an
Ah.
oath is broken, for
Ah.
example, something like that. Um, Sometimes it breaks the mind of whoever is involved,
Ah.
and maybe that could be the thing. Maybe it could be
Oh.
she can't be killed unless the ritual completes.
Yep.
But if we destroy the stone, she is essentially immortal, cannot die, cannot be destroyed, and her mind, which is now currently bent on completing this ritual and bringing Set into the real light, into the real world. Um,
And she could
it
probably
could
find
be.
enough. I don't. I bet you there's more than one. There. I bet you there's more than one substance out there that can substitute for that stone.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't think so. I think
because
the
that dagger,
means.
that stone. Oh,
I think it's that dagger and
because it
that
was handed to her
by Set.
by Set.
Uh huh.
So
So I think her mind would break, and she would be absolutely insane and become more akin to a force of nature rather than a powerful creature that
like the
has a
plagues,
goal. Huh?
like it would like she would bring upon the plagues,
Yes,
and she would
she would be an evil Moses.
and also like let's just say that they're talking about um it'd be cool if they're explaining what their plans are and they just want to destroy the stone,
Mm-hmm.
and she's watching them and she's watching trying to read their lips, and she's absorbed all these people who speak English because she's been in London, and she starts laughing and then starts speaking perfect English, and she just goes, "Destroy the stone, chosen, your mind shatters. Destroy the stone, you have no life. And I promise all of you, destroy the stone, and I will be a force that you cannot stop. Bury me, do whatever you want, but I will be unleashed on this world." And she just like mentions like the plagues will be brought upon, and they're like, "You mean like Moses?" And she just starts laughing, like even he couldn't see this coming, just something like
Mm-hmm.
that, because he probably happened. Yeah, I think that would have been cool. So I think we could have done both, because she just starts laughing, and then they could have, and then Morton turns around and goes, "Okay, so what's my so what's the other option here?" And Hyde and Dracula look at each other, or we stab you with the completed dagger and kill you. And then we kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, and Set and Amentet are both destroyed from this world.
Amentet.
And Amentet, gosh darn it, what do I keep saying?
Amentet.
Amentet. I think of Emotep,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like wanting to get all the.
I think yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
So, but it would have been cool that they do that, and then that's when like it swells up, and she starts cackling, and then it cuts to them at this scene, them drinking, and Dracula and him are trying to like coax him, be like, "We can find another thing." And he's like, "There has to be another way to do this," and they're like, "Oh, well, sacrifices do need to be made," and that's the part when, and I do like this part.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Edward Hyde is trying to come out because he's like, ugh. And oh gosh, I really do love that scene of Edward Hyde's transformation. And he tries to, and I do think that it would have been cool for Dracula, like, "Now calm down, calm down." And you know what I would have loved him to do? He walks up to a window and just bam, just opens up a curtain, and sunlight comes in, and Dracula, and then it shows that Hyde is coming out, and he goes, "Don't like the sun there, Vladdy, do ya?"
Mm-hmm.
And like kicks him across the room, gets a wooden stake ready, and everyone's like, wait, hold up, hold up. So that would have been cool.
Okay.
So the only two people I would have wanted in this, I just feel like another monster would have been cool to make this seem to it would have been more of a stronger instance, kind of like having Samuel L. Jackson appear at the end of Iron Man. You're like, okay, this is gonna be something. Which now I'm really excited for the What If. What If season 2 is coming out, and they're gonna do just 9 days in a row of just 9 episodes. So I gotta watch Loki. Anyway, I do love that he takes away. Actually, I would have just kind of would have gone with the Green Goblin kind of thing in No Way Home. He's just kind of been faking it, and then he just shows himself like, hello, like just, you know.
Okay.
And I do like his argument of Edward Hyde was just like, think of it, you are evil incarnate, and you have me, Eddie Hyde, helping you out. Oh, and the scene where he's trying to rip out, like he just puts his hand under his ribs and he's just causing him all this pain. And it would have been funny if he whispers in his ear and he goes, relax, I'm a doctor. And you're like, no, you're not. I would love to hear Edward Hyde say that for how funny that would be. Because Edward Hyde is not the doctor. It's like if Hulk would have said that. I would love to see that now.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk's beating on someone. Relax, I'm a doctor. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh. Jenny. And I love how heavy he gets. If you really think about just how like much he's like thudding, he's just so powerful. Shoves his hand onto the sensor and it can't identify him because it's Edward Hyde. And I love it. Oh. See, the thing is, if I would have made a second movie of this, I would have wanted them to turn on to Edward Hyde for a second. They would have needed Hyde for some reason. And Hyde would have been like in chains for most of the movie, and they're like guiding him and whatever. I don't know.
Maybe.
Remember?
I don't know.
It's sad because this is lost, and now we've just dealt with the 33rd Marvel movie, and yet this had so much potential.
This could have been way better than any Marvel movie we've
And
gotten
like
so
this
far.
part bugs me that she, gets one of the members of Prodigium, like one of the guys on the computer who's controlling it, and he just walks and no one tries to stop him. And I was telling you last night, he gets a fire axe.
I feel like they should have shot him a
Yeah.
couple times.
Yeah, and then he
keeps
gets
going.
back
up.
Honestly, he would have got back up, maybe swung an axe, take out one guy at least. Or
Mhm.
even like, hey, what are you doing? Like, even like, he goes, hey, what are you? And one guy goes up to him, like, what do you do? And then that's when he swings and just gets a guy. And then they're like, stop. And like, they start shooting him. And he
Mhm.
gets down. And everyone like, oh, and they start checking on the guy he stabbed. And he gets back up, turns, and just, they shoot him again. And she starts laughing and starts getting electrocuted. That would have been cool. Better build up. And the whole time that happens, Hyde is getting his face kicked in, which was awesome. When she throws up all the mercury.
Oh, yeah.
Very well done. Very well done. Really emphasized how evil she is. And what bugs me is after this scene, we don't see Hyde anymore. We don't see Jekyll or Hyde anymore.
That's kind of why I'm kind of leaning more towards there's another movie that is Jekyll and Hyde before this one that sets in stone the Prodigium, and maybe it's the beginning of Prodigium.
I mean, and that could still work. You could still do that after this one. Honestly, it could be one that we do.
I like it. I like that idea.
We're making our own Dark Universe canon.
Yep.
But yeah, I would definitely use this as an intro movie.
Universal hire us.
Universal. We're redoing this. You got this. No, that means they'd have to redo it. And because again, I do want there to be Dracula. Because I really do think it would be cool for Hyde to be going into, not Hyde, Jekyll to turn to another great physician, at least in this universe, a great physician, a great man of science to try to help him. And turns out this man of science is also living with his curse. She did such a good job. Like, I love the parts where they like stare at each other and he like has empathy. Like, the curse is like really causing him to stop and care for her. And I thought that was very well done. But Jenny is the thing that brings him back. Jenny. I'll never move on from
Never
Jenny.
forget you.
I don't want you, mummy lady. I want Jenny. Like, just. And this part right here, she takes more people from Prodigium. I would have had her just keep absorbing people. And then at the end, she looks whole. When he turns the corner at the end of the movie, or like at this part, because right now she's like almost there. I would say that actually, I think she actually is.
I think so.
Because I guess she did give herself up and she just turns pale, but I would have had her like, no, maybe a few more and she looks, because like Imhotep, he looked human. He looked normal. And I would have had that for her. Like, she has her beautiful, flawless skin. And the reason why I'm emphasizing on that is they really were like showing how beautiful she is in all these cutscenes. And maybe I do have a crush on her, but that's fine. Let me have this, guys.
The truth comes out.
The truth comes out. I'm single. I can have crush on actresses.
This is true. You're also an adult.
And I'm an adult. I'm an adult.
Terrifying as that thought might be.
Terrifying. It is terrifying. I have less than a year and almost at a year and a half until I'm 30, and I'm just like,
you're old.
I'm old.
You're old.
I'm old. Old. Anyway.
You're old.
See, this is the part that was pretty cool. I would imagine her just being full on, kind of pun intended, fleshed out. And I guess, here's the thing. If he kissed her, because at the end of the movie, they he tries to kiss her, or she tries to kiss him, would she be all gross and mummification, or would it actually be like a warm-bodied human? And I know that's kind of like an awkward thing, but that's what kind of bugs me is, even though she's supposed to be a warden of death, I think it would be ironic for her to be full of life again.
I get you.
But this part was cool. Her bringing out the thing, and there's the face in the sandstorm like Tim wanted. And I think this scene would have been cool if they were in a car. And this is the part that I'm talking about. Vale is like, let's go. I just wish he wasn't yelling. He's just pointing. Yeah. This part was pretty dang cool.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Wow, that was intense.
It was intense. It was very intense.
And yeah, he jumped through a bus.
I jumped through a window. We jumped through a window. Shh.
We jumped out a window.
Yeah, this is what happens when we're comfy.
This is what happens when we're comfy.
It feels good. We're not creaking, though. There's nothing too crazy going around. Hopefully it's doing pretty good. But this part was nuts. Going down into the tombs and them discover the zombie horde that chases after them. Loved it.
I agree.
Would you have had Jenny die?
Yeah.
Still would have kept it?
I would have kept how it all ends. I would have kept it the same.
Mama Ted is never gonna let her live. Dope. Here they come. Here comes the zombie. Wee. I think it's kind of funny that British Templars, or sorry, English Templars, I should say, are being brought back to life by this part. This was very well done. And it would have been cool if they ran past him. Mm-hmm. Like, they didn't run through him. They literally ran past Vale. And this scene was very well done, too. Oh. Like, this was like a video game. You're right. I was kind of at the edge of my seat. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, she's trying to follow him. And oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, there it is. There's a zombie right behind her. I was like, oh no, Jenny, turn around.
Janae.
Wham, wham.
I thought that was pretty cool how he killed the zombie.
Oh, she's so pretty. I haven't seen it. This part was very cool though, being at the edge of the train and the zombies just slowly trying to edge toward him. And then he gets stuck. I was like, oh, no, that's a good way to feel helpless.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here she comes.
Oh, here she comes.
Watch out. That's the joke I made at the exact scene yesterday. I said the same thing. Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy. She'll throw you up. Now, would you have? I think I would have had her more do the. See, that's kind of what I liked about Imhotep is that he looked human, but in a second he would like change. His jaw drops way farther. I would have done that for her still. Like she looks beautiful, she looks normal, but then she's not. There's something wrong with her.
That's not very nice to say. Sorry.
Because again, she's a warden of death. She's become a necromancer, you could say.
Ish. I guess.
Oh, a lich?
Mummy lord.
Okay, fine. I'm trying to be cool like Tim and D&D stuff, but
I mean, she can't be a lich because she doesn't have a phylactery.
I don't even know what that means.
It's an object that houses souls. So if a lich's body is destroyed, it feeds on those souls and forms a new body.
Huh. So what does the Adventure Time lich have? Huh.
That's a good question. I don't know.
And this part was very good. They get thrown into the canal and they come up and she's just terrified. The mummy falls down. Take it. This was very well done. This part was good, but I wish we could have seen more of. I mean, not really, because Prodigium, for the rest of this movie, it's about the mummy. We had the moment with Prodigium. They're recovering. In my version, Dracula is burned. Pretty fatal, not fatally, but mortally burned. Needs to recover. Hyde is taken out because, Jekyll and Hyde are taken out because of, fighting him, getting turned back to normal, and getting the crap beat out of them. They're kind of useless. And also, they don't know where anything, But I think it would have been cool if they would have had the rest of Prodigium try to fight the army, better than this. Because they had, 5... Actually, I guess they did. I guess they did show Prodigium because everyone got killed by zombies. So now the only people there. So I guess I can't really complain. But it is kind of random that she appeared to take Jenny. I think it makes more sense.
No, I think it makes sense. Because the chamber that they're in the water chamber and the chamber that she was in with the stone are connected.
Oh, okay.
Right. Because that's where she came from.
Oh,
that's where
they're
going.
She probably literally swam.
I think she probably did, or just walked on the bottom.
Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean style.
Pirates of the Caribbean style.
Boys, take a walk. Great scene. Great scene. And this part right here, the only gripe I had about it, like I told you, is that the zombies are literally swimming. And the only thing I would say is they should have more hinged swimming motion.
Hinged movement.
Yes, thank you.
I agree.
Because this just looks like, maybe some of them could, maybe zombifies would, but I feel like dumb, mindless hordes would literally just be just crawling and just moving. I do like how they grab them. I do all like how they fight them.
Jenny.
Jenny drowned. So all in all, I think that we have. Should we talk? Oh wow. pretty good time. But this would have been more powerful of a scene. Because I think our biggest gripe is their relationship didn't feel more fleshed out in the beginning. This does work for now because they have some sort of a connection, but imagine if it hurt more if we were to know that they were a thing. It could literally start with them meeting on a first date, and like the movie could start with them meeting,
or even, well, yeah, maybe,
meeting, and then like it cuts to like 6 months later, and then it shows him finally like they're talking all like it shows them like he's hitting on her and talking about, and she's like she's could be like with her glasses on reading a book, and he like comes and hits on her like, what you reading there, and like blah 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 blah, and Vale is kind of watching in the corner, and then because it looks like it's kind of like being like a cute little rom-com start crap. We get the connection building, we get them hanging out, laughing on a date, kissing, and then it like cuts to 6 months later, and then kind of shows him waking up and leaving her, and then we get him and Vale driving to this location, and it cuts away to them being near the site location, shows him waking up, leaving, and Vale's kind of giving him grief, like, dude, she's never gonna forgive you for this. Like, this girl was kind of something. He's like, it wasn't anything. It was 6 months of me trying to get ready for the biggest score of our lives, whatever, and all that stuff. I think that would have been better. I think that would have been a better thing than them fighting in the military. I feel like it would have been better for just, I don't know, because then how would they have gone on a flight? Well, I feel like she probably could have had her friends come in with a jet, and Prodigium was starting to fly because he's like asking like, so who are your friends? He's like, I'll have you meet them. Like, I don't know. I feel like that would have been better than having it being military. And I love how beat up he looks. I'm going to laugh because everyone's going to be listening to this episode going, it sounds like Willem and Tim like this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, we
so
do.
Right there, she licks him. Do you think it was a cold, dead tongue, or do you think it felt like a human, alive tongue?
I think he should have shivered and been like, ooh, cold.
See, I would have wanted warm. It's
not me. It's you.
It's you. And like that, I hate that line.
I think it's hilarious.
No, it's just too Tom Cruise-y.
Exactly. I think it's hilarious.
And I feel, well, okay, but the thing is, we kind of talked about having two different outcomes. Destroy the stone, and he goes insane, and she becomes a force of nature, or... Because right now she says, destroy the stone, all is lost. You will be a living god. You will have power, life and death. Okay, so for me, I don't feel like she's hinting at Jenny. She thinks Jenny is completely out of the picture. She is so brainwashed. It's so sad to me because it's just this, well, I don't really feel too bad for her because she's just this person who wanted power. What is it? Was that be narcissism? Or just someone who hungers for power? Just power hungry.
Power hungry.
She's just power hungry. And she just doesn't see that he doesn't want her.
I don't want you, okay?
I don't want you. Gosh. And I wish he would have just said, I choose option number 3, something like that. And like for us in the audience,
that's a very Tom Cruise kind of thing.
Like it would have fit him so much because he's like, I go with option number 3, and she looks at him like, what? And stabs himself. And he's like, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to use my love for Jenny and my ability to want to be good. Because even though Set is a god of death, I feel like death isn't a bad thing.
No, well, and that's something that throughout history, like a lot of people have a different view on it. Different cultures have a different view on death. Some cultures, death is a neutral thing. I think in Egyptian mythology, death in general is neutral
Yeah. It's
because
just the judgment after.
it's the passage between now and the afterlife. Um,
Like this.
but
Okay.
other cultures, it's like you when you die, it's over, kind of thing.
I'm gonna be honest though. I would have had someone else than Tom Cruise.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he's just too old.
I don't know. Like, yeah, you can tell he's getting older here, but
And she did such a good job. Like when she looks at him, she's like, "Is this God gonna accept me? Is this gonna happen?" Like even though she's power hungry, she did such a good job of
Mhm.
like pulling at my sympathy bone. She did such a good job. And I love when her eyes focus as well, because sometimes she'll have two eyes, and I swear sometimes she'll like a sacrifice for the greater good. And that part I thought was very well done. Is that he becomes a sacrifice for good.
Mhm.
Oof. He just sucks the life out of her. Which is kind of weird. But he is the god of death, so he can just take what he wants. That sounded wrong.
That sounded really
Oh,
wrong.
I'm very sorry. He can take the power that she has. He
That's
just
better.
awkwardly does
That's
it
better.
in a form of funny enough, it's not a kiss of life, it's a kiss of death. And I wish that, because he throws the body and she like does that little final death rattle at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I would have wished they still could have heard crying, because essentially she's still cursed. She's still alive because Set's not gone. I would have liked for like the husk of her to still be like wailing and crying. They could still hear it when they put the sarcophagus on.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked that. Just kind of constantly. And it would have been cool when they first discover her body that it sounded like, do you hear that? And it sounds like someone like crying, like wailing. And they're like, it's just the wind. And they're like, no, that could have been
Or
cool.
it's the Mercury moving.
Yeah, it's the Mercury.
It's the Mercury.
It just sounds like someone's sobbing, but it's just the droplets. They just keep hearing it. So all in all, 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I would have added Dracula. We would have made a more fleshed out relationship between them, and we would have had Prodigium explain who she was. So the whole like 30 minutes, like 30 to 40 minutes of this movie is them completely unaware. And I also, though, I don't like when he says wake up, she screams.
It's supposed to be the afterlife. The Egyptian afterlife, you're ferried across the Duat,
Uh-huh.
and that's where she was.
So why'd she scream?
I'm not
See, right there, when she looks at the body, I just imagine it like sniffling. Like she walks toward it and she
Mhm.
just faintly hears it.
I don't know. I do like that it's just dead.
A dead.
I like that she grabs the dagger. I would have liked that to have her grab the dagger and kind of like hold it defensively as she walks around, if that makes sense.
And now he's all in the shadows, all Batman. He's like, don't come near me.
Rachel.
Jenny.
Oh, goodness.
Oh.
I'm sorry you guys have to listen to us being us.
This is what y'all signed up for. The whole 10 of you. I wish we would have seen his face.
I agree.
Because they don't like show it, they hide it. At the end of the movie, he's covering it. And I think I would have had, at this part, I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know. So you like that he's kind of wandering on his own?
Yeah.
But that's
and I think having a purpose for it as well. More than just he's wandering.
Well, I feel like he should have just joined them, because now all three, like especially if they have a Dracula, all three of them have this greater evil in them.
Hmm.
They all are trying to stop evil as well as trying to cure each of themselves.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I
So
don't know.
he should have just been with them. And then we make another movie about Prodigium. And then the next movie, I don't know, Frankenstein? I don't know. That's why it's so difficult, because it's like, what were they going with this? What evil do they fight? Is it going to be aliens? Are we going to get aliens versus monsters in this universe? Like, are we going to get the Blob? Hi, I'm Bob.
I'm
Hey, I
Bob.
might not be smart, but I have an idea.
I have an idea.
So it's, I feel like he should have been with them in the end.
Hmm.
I don't know what they were going for and who they would have added. Maybe we look up what other monsters they have in the universe, or maybe they're just saying that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are a current thing. But what bugs me, it's like no one has ever heard of him. That's what would have bugged me. It's like, oh, so you're just part of this magic corporation that is underground, and no one heard about you ever transforming into this monster. You're just perfectly hidden from the world. Like, that's what I feel like that's probably where this movie kind of landed on its face, is they were trying to introduce a dark universe, and that's kind of I feel like that's where it fell. Because what else could they fight?
Well,
What else are
I
they going to
think
do?
I think the issue they fell into is they tried to have this come out to rival Marvel.
Yep, it's
That's where it really truly flopped.
because June of 2017 probably was going to be Doctor Strange was going to come out a couple months later, and I think, oh, what came out?
Thor Ragnarok, I think. No, that came out a little later.
No, yeah, because Thor Ragnarok came out in like 2018,
Yeah.
because 2019 was.
Yeah, it came out 2018.
So 2017 was Doctor Strange, and I think one other. Actually, no, that was the time when Marvel was just doing one movie at a time. I just think people just wanted Marvel. Like this part too, like when they just cover up there, we just hear like a scream. Just a faint scream right there. That would have been awesome. Yeah, he could have been our greatest ally. He could have been. Sometimes it does take a monster to fight a monster. Yeah. So he should be with them. Maybe there's a bunch of vampires out there. Maybe the next movie could be about, all these, the vampire horde coming, and they have beef with Dracula. It could be people hunting down. Like, there's so much it could have been there. So my side of it, I'm voting for it ends with him part of Prodigium, them working together, and them being like, we will fight monsters as well as trying to cure ourselves. That for me is what this movie should have done. If they really wanted it, they should have gone with it. Because it might have been lame to already come out with kind of a big three, but guess what? That's okay. Because we already know who those two are. We don't need a big thing of it. The next movie could have been about Dracula, or it could have been about Prodigium itself, because it would have been cool if Dracula and Hyde found it. Maybe they had another monster find it, but that monster either fell away, was killed, or gave up and killed themselves. I don't know. Or
I don't know. I love the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and
Yeah.
I would have had it be maybe Charlemagne is the one that founds it, or Dorian Gray, since he's essentially immortal so long as he doesn't look at that painting, right?
And that could have been like the mid-credit scene. He's like, so what is this painting? And then all of a sudden he goes to lift it. Please don't remove that while I'm around. Ah, Dorian! We've been wondering when you would return. And he goes, so, gentlemen, who have you brought for us in our little gang?
League.
A little league. And they could have gone Charlemagne. It would have been cool for a dark universe to be like, all right, we're just taking over League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but probably Fox would have been like, hey, you can't do that. Because I think Charlemagne is actually a DC character. I don't know. Actually, no, Charlemagne I think is actually an old legend. I don't know.
I don't actually know.
Charlemagne keeps coming back to life.
Yeah.
But they don't really explain that till the end of the movie.
No. the way they explained it, I think was awesome. Because his grave rumbled.
Yep. And you're like, oh, because the African chief is just sitting there like, and you're like, oh, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
Yep.
Nick Morton, Henry Jekyll. I wish they would have put Edward Hyde later. Edward Hyde, Russell Crowe. No way.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I feel like maybe Charlotte, woman in toilet. I think Charlemagne would be cool. I think Charlemagne would be cool to be maybe not a villain per se, but like the antagonist in the next movie and joins them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could be very similar to them trying like League. I think like really League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was like the perfect blueprint for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it already exists, so that's probably why it probably was another reason why this fell flat. But there's so many stories. I thought The Invisible Man could have been awesome. There's so many things, but it just doesn't I feel like, you know what? I feel like it just doesn't work in modern day.
I could see that.
I could really see if they would have done this like just like The Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
And had it in like 19th century, that probably could have worked. Because if they would have done this, you know who would have been awesome if they would have had this at the end of the movie? They have a picture of Brendan Fraser's character. And he and his wife are the one that started it. That would have been cool.
That would be really cool.
But no, they didn't. Oh, but I think that I feel like that concludes this episode. I don't feel like there's not much to really go on about it. I feel like we've said our piece. It was a fun, comfy couch episode. We haven't done that in a while, but thanks everyone for listening. And yeah, just we hope that you keep listening. And anything else, Tim?
No, I don't think so. Thank you guys again for listening, for putting up with us and our stupidity and our rants and all the unfinished thoughts and ideas that we had. And yeah, if you guys, again, if you have ideas for other movies that we could do, please let us know. We have our email address.
hearmeout@gmail.com. Again, that's hearmeout. Oh my gosh, I messed up the first time. hearmeoutpitch@gmail.com. Again, that's hearmeoutpitch@gmail.com. You guys are awesome. We will see you later, pitches.